Hey, Joey, can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
All right, great. Well, thank you for coming tonight and welcome to Politics Discord. We appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. It's going to be fun.
So, guys, Joey Manarino is the co host of Your Voice America with Bill Mitchell. And just to read right off your Twitter, you're Italian American living abroad, a lover of good music and travel. So, Joey is obviously very involved in the political scene. And as we all know, there's a lot going on in that area. Your Voice of America, I'll read their slogan: the silent majority is no more. So to hand it off, I'm going to give it to you, Joey, to give us a little bit of background about yourself, kind of how you got involved in this, where you're going, where you want to go, and maybe what you're currently working on, and maybe do for fun. So the floor is yours.
Okay, well, Your Voice America actually, I'm one of a few co-hosts. Bill Mitchell's actually the host and the mastermind of that show, and they call the slogan, it's the silent majority is silent no more. Not that it is no more, it's silent no more because last election the silent majority sort of rose up and political how do you want to say the political reins of the country. But basically what I do, I was in radio for many years. I was in R&B radio for many years and had my own show and talked about a variety of things. And I was always with Twitter and always tweeting and things like that. So one day, it was very interesting how it happened. I just got asked to co-host on the show. This was about a year and a half ago, and I haven't stopped since. It's been a great fun. I never saw myself doing politics. I've always had a lot of ideas and a lot of things to discuss with as far as opinions, but I never expected to show. So it's been very interesting and I've met a lot of really fascinating people and had some very fun opportunities with it. So overall it's just a great thing to do. A big thing going on in America right now. There's a lot happening. So to be a part of the moment, even though I'm currently living abroad, but it's just wonderful to be a part of this moment. Hello,
Hey,
there?
we're just muted. We're listening to you.
Okay, well, I'm here.
So, sorry, I
Hello.
don't know why I was server muted there. Yeah, no, you're good. So before we get into the first question, Joey, maybe can you kind of what's your day to day? I mean, are you full time with Your Voice of America?
Okay.
Or are you
No,
doing
no,
kind
no,
of
no.
other things
I
on the
do.
side? Or I mean, kind of what does your day consist of? I mean, do you work with I mean, do you work with the people who write the stories, what you're going to do the next day, so on and so forth?
Yeah, I'm actually a full-time student over in London. So I do all of this kind of stuff on the side, not full-time. I do tweet a lot and things like that as far as the political stuff goes, but I'm full-time over here in school, marketing. I'm actually studying marketing. So with that, day to day, I do all different kinds of things, but mainly I'm a student and I do this part-time basically, pretty much whenever.
All right, great. No, that's perfect. So we're going to go on to the first question. Um, and the first question comes from uh, Bubba, and it is: what are your feelings on North Korea, and should we do a preemptive strike?
Yeah, they are a very rogue nation. Nobody knows what's going on with them. They have a crazy leader, and I do believe America should do a preemptive strike because my thought is they're only going to go stronger and stronger and stronger. Right now, they're already strong enough and allowed to grow strong for how many years? I mean, they have nuclear weapons at this point. They're launching whenever they want, and you never know what's going to happen with them. So, my thought is why wait 10 years? Why wait 5 years when we could sort of just handle it now? Now, yeah, it's inhumane. It's an inhumane thing to do, but sometimes you have to do inhumane things to protect the greater world. And if that's a sacrifice that has to be made at some point, as sad as it would be, I think I'm not hearing you though.
Yeah, no, you're good. The next question, that's because you couldn't have, because I wasn't talking.
Okay.
The next question comes from Tom, and the question is: do you think the radio scene is going to survive until 2020, or will digital media and web streams prevail and kill it all?
I think they're going to have to adapt. I think you're going to see a lot of people that are on traditional media go towards new media because really, I mean, look what we're doing right now. I've never even done anything like this before. And you have how many listeners? I have no idea. But there's so many people that are getting their sources from not where they got it before. You had TV before, years ago, it was all radio, it was all TV. You couldn't hear an alternate viewpoint. Now with radio, you mean online, offline, terrestrial. You can do with a cell phone, you can be a complete journalist today. So will radio in the traditional sense survive? Yes, it will always be there. But I don't believe that it will have the influence and dominance it did. And if it did, you wouldn't have seen Trump become president. A lot of things that are happening currently in the world happen because it's all due to a new medium. I mean, Trump got his message out. You had him on Twitter. If it was not for Twitter and social media, you wouldn't see Trump win. You wouldn't see happen the way they're happening. You had a narrative that was able to be shaped before. Now you have people able to live stream
Right.
Charlottesville, all these terror attacks that happened, Las Vegas, things like that. Now you can know from people who were there at the moment, and the media can't really do much to change that narrative.
Fair enough. To kind of segue you mentioned Charlottesville. What was your take on that, and what was your take on Donald Trump's how he reacted to it?
What happened was a disgrace. What happened was an absolute disgrace. Now, the whole Confederate monument debate, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other on that. They want to take them down, let them take them down. If they don't, don't. Personally, I wouldn't, simply because. So if you want to keep them up, sure, whatever. How Donald Trump reacted to it, I think he did okay. It definitely wasn't the best moment for Donald Trump. He did condemn. He did condemn them. The media wanted him to condemn them stronger. He said that there was a violent equivalency on both sides, which is true because Antifa is very bad and violent, and these white supremacist neo-Nazi people, they're horrible. Everybody agrees with that.
Right.
I really believe that everybody can say unequivocally white supremacists, neo-Nazis have no place in America anymore. So when he said, yes, there's bad on both sides, maybe it's not what people wanted to hear, but it's sort of true. So what happened there was a disgrace, and it needs to never happen again. How Trump reacted, he could have reacted better, but I think he just sort of told it like it was, not how it.
All right, great. Next question is from Halo, and it is: what can we do to make gun laws better for those who want to exercise their rights while preventing obvious cases where firearms should not be sold? NFA, Share Act, background checks, universal permits, etc.
Okay, well, the gun laws that we have right now, if they were actually enforced in America, would do a lot to prevent. The problem is there's not a lot of enforcement going on. You have a lot of loopholes that need to be closed. Should everybody have access to a gun? It's in the Constitution, okay? It's the Second Amendment. If you want to go by that, then yes, everybody should have access to a gun. I don't necessarily think that's the best solution because people that are you have people that are totally kooky crazy. They don't need guns. But taking guns away from everybody is the wrong solution. Look at Texas. I mean, the Texas gunman, that psychopath who shot up the church, if it was not for the neighbor having a gun, he could have really done even more damage. So
Right.
it's a very fine line between gun control and, banning guns. You don't do that. You can't ban guns. Number one, it'll never work. You see people when they ban the gun, cities like Chicago. How's that going? How's that going? But there needs to be, I do believe, some sense who has a gun and how they can use it. I don't think that psycho guy who shot up that church should have had a gun. But how do you know that? How can you be the judge of that? So unfortunately, America, there's so many guns out there. Really turn it around. But at the same time, if a bad person has a gun, gun. Even if they don't have it, believe me, they will get the gun. They will get the gun.
Right. All right, great answer. Next question is from Kermit, and it is what do you think about the recent Al Franken assault? The investigation possibly now they're doing, and the claims against him, which he's admitted to, and then obviously you have the Roy Moore claims, which he hasn't admitted to, but the claims are there. I mean, what's your kind of take on all that?
Well, here's the deal. If Al Franken is guilty, which he has admitted he is, he needs to step down because Mitch McConnell accused Roy Moore's people of being credible. Are they or are they not? I haven't truly followed it enough to say. But there's a really interesting timing there. But if Mitch McConnell says that Roy Moore needs to step down from running, Al Franken also needs to step down. But the whole thing, this whole sexual predator, sexual harassment story, it's a real slippery slope because that are years and years and years ago, and this goes for Roy Moore, this goes for Al Franken, this goes for all of these cases. Because you were accused, you to step down. I mean, everybody on this earth accused of sexual assault at that point. Anybody you don't want and you want to take out, you can just have them be accused. So we have to be really careful how we do it. If we're going to go that route where everybody needs to step down, then Franken needs to go. Do I think he should go? No. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe there needs to be some investigation of it before they decide whether or not he should step down. Because if he steps down and all the Republicans are saying, step down, it's only a matter of time till whether it really happened or not. They put 100 people that say Ted Cruz abused them. They put 100 people to say, not that Ted Cruz abused them, that they were abused by Ted Cruz. It can go the other way. Yeah. We don't want to weaponize this. We want to solve this problem of sexual harassment and sexual assault. But when it becomes weaponized, it loses a lot of its true impact. Believe me, there's a huge impact. I know people that were victims of sexual harassment and sexual assault, and they're not the same after it happens. But to the point where you weaponize it, like they did in Alabama and possibly with Franken, who I can't stand Franken as far as politics goes. Right. I don't know. It's a very slippery slope.
Great answer. All right, next question is from Valentine. I've read your tweets about Donald Trump and the economy of America being just fine and getting better. Care to tell us how, in your perspective?
Well, we've hit 3% GDP, number one. That has not happened in a long time. We hit 2 of 3 quarters since he took office, 3% GDP. Consumer confidence is at an all-time high. You see the stock market doing extremely well. Overall, there's jobs are growing. Everything, the economy's in the right direction. And it has not been in such a good direction in a while. Now they're saying even without the tax cuts, we still could get to 4.7. That's the new estimate for the next quarter. If we start getting numbers like 4.7 GDP consistently, extremely good place economically. Jobs will come in. It all depends on what happened with tax reform too. The tax reform is critical. Get in there repatriation, where they bring their money back in, all these corporations that have it over. If they can get a low repatriation rate, it's going to be something that we haven't seen in years. So I think as far as economically, you can't deny what Trump has done. You don't have to love Trump. I don't care how you feel about him. But economically, he's doing an excellent job.
Yep. Just to fact check you there, actually did hit 8 times under President Obama. 8 times it hit 3% on quarterly growth.
Yes. Oh, yes. I agree with you. That's the fact. However, consistently, we have not been there in a while, and we keep going up and up with the 4.7 projection. And
no, I agree with you. I agree. I mean, everything's on full go, but just so we kind of have, that online. All right. So next question comes from PC, and the question is, what's your opinion on the FCC that is thinking about making news organizations only report what they want?
I don't completely understand the question. FCC wants to let news organizations only report what they want?
Yeah, I don't really understand the question much either. What's your opinion on the FCC? Well, let's just say, what's your opinion on the FCC, I guess?
Well, I mean, you need some kind of regulation of the media. you do, but overall, I mean, the news should report what they want. That's what they're doing anyway. Able to be so biased like they are, I say absolutely, as long as there's a disclaimer with it.
Right.
Disclaimer with it. You're not going to get a fair. You can't have a fair news source. Automatically, they're biased. Whether they're biased liberal, whether they're biased conservative, reporting the news, it's people collating the story. So you're not going to ever have 100% unbiased reporting. But should MSNBC come with a disclaimer? We are working for the Democrat agenda? Yeah. Should Fox come with a disclaimer? We lean right? Yes. I completely think no unbiased news.
No,
and they
great.
should present themselves as such.
And that kind of hit on Wally's question too. It was your take on the FCC. So I will say, what is your take on to kind of go into the step near there, but civilian journalism? I mean, how do you feel about that?
I think it's changing the world. I think it's changing the world. Without civilian journalism, you would not have had 2016, the election come the way it did. You would not have anything as far as the stories that we have. I mean, now anybody, like I said, with a smartphone, you can be a journalist as long as you can afford an iPhone. Enjoy it, honest to God. There's nothing you cannot do. The stories out. So you see people walking down the street, and I saw this a lot with the Las Vegas thing, which I don't know. I mean, you don't even hear about it in the news. The media said one thing, said the other thing. Then you had like 20 citizen journalists descend onto Vegas, and many of them are still there even, trying to find out more. Can't really silence a citizen because we have First Amendment rights. You can't really regulate what a citizen journalist says so much because they can say what they want. FCC can come in and tell the media, no, you can't say this, no, you can't say that. Most of the citizen journalists, too, they're not necessarily doing it for the money or for the right. Now, you have a bunch of them that are. You have a bunch of them that are. But they're out there because they really give a damn about what's going on. And they want to see truth being reported. Does that come with more bias than a news media organization? 2 years ago, I would have said yes. Now I would say, as biased as the media has become, I think they are no more or less factual, no more or less biased, and no more or less credible news organization that you're going to see on a mainstream channel. I think citizen journalism will change the globe.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, next question is Ashton, and it is, what should America do as a country in order to beat China's growing influence around the world?
America needs to keep doing exactly what it's doing. I mean, they've been the dominant country. China's always going to have an upper edge as far as manufacturing and things like that because America will never stoop to the level that China lets its people live. We're not going to have our people working for $1 a day and for, 2 bits of a sandwich. As long as we want to stay an exceptional nation, we will never maybe meet them as far as manufacturing. But we need to stay tough as far as trade, as far as many issues that go on with China, and assert our dominance. We have the leverage above pretty much any country in the world when it comes to issue. We have the strongest military in the world. We have, China will always be China, but I don't ever think they will overtake us as much as they want. Now, what we have to do is stop raising our deficit so much and letting China buy all our debt. That's a problem. But as far as I'm concerned, I think we need to continue what we're doing and not give up too much influence globally. There's a difference between isolationism and taking care of our country's issues. I think we need to put America first, but not forget the rest of the world. That's very important.
All right, great. Next question is, what is there to fear from Mexico to actually build a wall? And what do you think of Cards Against Humanity's move to buy land and to halt the building of the wall?
Cards Against Humanity, I mean, they can buy land all they want, and then we can just build around their land. I mean, walls can curve. But
Right.
As far as what's there to fear from Mexico, it's not what's there to fear 100% from Mexico. It's this whole border crossing thing is dangerous for both countries, to be honest with you, except the Americans running to Mexico. The problem is not a secure border. Every other country has a secure border. They don't just let people in without knowing who they are. And they take jobs. Okay, that's one thing. Now, a lot of the jobs Americans are not going to do. That's the truth of the matter. But at the end of the day, who is coming into the country? So you need to maybe build a wall. If the Border Patrol says they need a wall, I think they know better than the average person what they need. They say they need a wall. They say they want a wall to help with security. It'll help with the drug trade. Then we need to build the wall. It's not about keeping people out. It's about knowing who you let in. And they will build the wall. They will build the wall. I truly do believe they will build the wall.
All right. Next question is, since you're involved in music, do you have any songwriters that inspire you or maybe help you if you're still writing music, so on and so forth?
I haven't written a song since 2000 and something, like 2014. Something that sort of comes and goes, and it's but I was inspired by a lot of different people,
All
no
right,
one in
great.
particular.
Next question is, what are your feelings on Donald Trump's promise to show his tax returns, then rescinding it?
Well, he didn't need to, did he? I mean, would I like to see the tax returns? Sure. I think everybody would like full disclosure from all the politicians. But at the end of the day, I don't know what it's going to show that we don't already know from the financial disclosures. Would I like to see it? Yes. It would be nice to see. But at the end of the day, it's never going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So it's sort of a dream that we have to let.
Right, pretty much. All right, so Voice of America's slogan revolves around the silent majority. What does that actually mean to the people that work there?
What does the silent majority mean to the people at Your Voice America?
Yeah, so the people that run it, the people that someone's making money, right? So let's pretend imagine the person who makes a shitload of money from Your Voice America. Picture that guy in your head. I don't know who it is, but I'm guessing Bill Mitchell doesn't work for free. What does silent majority mean to him and anybody else that makes money there?
Well, you'd have to ask them that. But
okay, so what does it mean to you?
Your Voice America, honestly, I will tell you, they are doing it for the love of the country. There's some kind of massive it's for love of country more than anything else. That I can tell you. But as far as what does the silent majority mean to me, there was a silent majority of people that were ignored for years. Maybe not a majority, but there was a grand swatch of people ignored by politicians. They were ignored even by Republican politicians. And this was a group of people that had issues with the way the media was treating them, the way that they felt they could not say certain things without being labeled in certain ways that were negative. That's not to say that they can say whatever they want, but there was a political correct that you can't question anything that was happening in the country. Was the silent majority is silent no more. When I hear that phrase, I just think that now everybody is sort of empowered to speak their mind more and not fear so much the consequence. And that's a double-edged sword because it comes from both sides. It comes from both sides. But I think that really evaluate what's going on in the country, you need to have a debate about it. And this 2016 election gave people the chance to really debate it.
No, great answer. All right, next question is from PC. Do you believe that our government will be replaced someday?
By who? Do I believe that the current government will be replaced? Of course. I mean, in 4 or 8 years, somebody else will be in. But I don't know who they would be. Like, if you think we're going to go to a new world government, I really don't know that would happen. I don't really believe all those conspiracies. Are there people that would want it to happen? 100%. 100%. But I don't think.
Are there any conspiracies you do?
Are there any conspiracies I do believe in?
I know Las Vegas. I mean, there's obviously a lot of different stories going on there. I mean, the JFK. Are there any conspiracies you do follow?
Oh, I follow quite a few of them. I follow almost all of them, to be honest with you. But do I believe what I hear? You can't believe anything you hear, even from the official sources. Everything has to be taken with a grain of salt.
Right.
Everything everywhere has to be taken with a grain of salt. But as far as the government being taken over by some new world elite government, I think everybody will rise up before that. I mean, you got East Europe, America, that's in a new wave of nationalist pride. You have East Europe that is standing up against what's happening in the EU. There's a lot going on around the world that is not being reported. Not going to happen. Not any time that I'll see. Maybe 200 years in the future, when this, I don't know what's going to happen with this generation, because my generation, they've let a lot go. They've let a lot happen. There's a lot of people in my generation that want to see America go socialist. Happens, but I don't think a new world government's coming anytime soon.
All right, great. Next question is, if you don't mind saying, who did you vote for in the 2016 primaries and why?
In the primaries, I voted Trump, and it was because by the time they got to Pennsylvania, Rubio, Cruz, Trump, and I think there was one more. Oh, Kasich, the Pancake Man. And so basically, we wanted the primaries to end, and we didn't want to keep this battle going because we had to be strong against the Democrats, which we thought were going to be united at that point, but that didn't turn out to happen. And Trump was the only one speaking really about the issues that Rubio had become some kind of weird, strange. He was trying to insult. He was trying to run down the middle. Kasich, to me, has always been a waste of space. And Cruz was basically very conniving. He was showing a lot of just, after what he did to Carson in Iowa, I think it left a bad taste in most people's mouths. So I voted Trump, and that's just how it ended. I mean, I ended up voting in the general for Trump as well.
Not great.
No regret, with no regret.
All right, next question. What are your thoughts about Angela Merkel, Europe, and Germany?
Angela Merkel, I mean, you see, she can't even form a government. The woman has taken over Europe. You know, they give Germany so much power because Germany has the most money over there. And the EU is sort of starting to fail because they let in a lot of people from all parts of the world. They try to be the saviors of the world, and you can't do that. The world without thinking of your citizens. They let in so many Syrian people. And that's nice. It's really nice to take care of the migrants, and it's really nice to try and help. But you've seen so much culture clash in Germany, culture clash in the UK, and all of Europe has been made to suffer. That Angela Merkel, Angela they call her, that she made. She won again as chancellor. People in Europe are sick and tired of being dictated by Germany. I know so many people in Italy. I have a lot of family in Italy. Of Germany dictating decisions for Italy. And they're sick and tired of France and Macron and Merkel making decisions for the whole of the EU. And I know people will tell me a million times that's not how it works. That's not how it works. They're the ones calling the shots, and everybody else has to live with it. So, happening for much longer? No. I think within 25 to 30 years, you will not have an EU.
All right, great. Next question is, what are your opinions on PC culture? Is this beneficial to society, or does it detract from it? Does it threaten freedom of speech?
100%. It definitely detracts from free speech. You know, PC culture is to the point where you saw today 2 college radio hosts kicked off the air because they said the word tranny. You have people being censored. PC culture is censorship. That's what PC culture is, because who's to decide what PC culture is? Now you have people, I know people that teach in schools, okay? And they go to school and they have to call the child by the correct pronoun. And if they miss up with the pronoun, they get thrown out of the school. I mean, come on. Decide at school if it wants to identify as a different gender or race, but they don't have to tell the parents. Matter of fact, they cannot tell the parents by law. This is not PC. It's not political correct. It's just insane. It's to the point where we let people be offended by so much that by the time continue the world like this, what are we going to have left to talk about? What are we going to have left to say? I mean, there's something to be said for decorum in public. I don't want people running around obscenities and screaming horrible things at each other as they walk down the street. But at the same time, Who the hell is to tell us what PC culture is? No, 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 no. I think we need to go back to a little bit of a rewind before everybody was offended by everything. And we got to get there pretty fast because some of the stuff I hear is crazy.
Yeah, it's getting. All right. Next question. How should we combat crime hysteria where people's lives are destroyed on the basis of mere accusations, specifically sexual crime hysteria?
Mm. How do we combat that? That's if I could figure that out, I'd be making a lot more money than I am right now. The bottom line is, in America at least, you're innocent until proven guilty. That sort of went away now with the internet. I mean, this rush to judgment. You saw Charlie Rose. Charlie Rose was accused this morning of being sexually harassing to 8 women. Now is no longer with CBS already. I think it was a matter of 5 hours before he got blacklisted. Spacey, Kevin Spacey, who I'm no big fan of, he lasted about a week, has no more work in Hollywood. Should it be that way? Maybe. If they are convicted of the crime, sure, 100%. I mean, sexual predators have no place in this world. I'm so radical with it. I believe the punishment for pedophilia should just be castration. My take on it. But we got to watch out to the point where ends your life. People are falsely accused all the time, and it will be weaponized. And one day, all the people I know right now, a lot of Republicans, they see it happening with a lot of Democrats. The left will weaponize it and throw it back at the Republicans one day. So we have to watch how it's handled. We can't say, you're accused, you step down, you're accused, you step down. Turn. It will turn.
All right. Next question. Are you happy with all of Donald Trump's recent decisions since he's been president? And are there any that, you would say that you would have changed?
Well, not sure about that Syrian airstrike that happened at first. I was just a little bit on the fence about that, but it proved to be the right decision when you saw how it set the stage for a lot of other things that came down the line. This recent elephant trophy decision, that was a little bit interesting. I just wish overall with the presidency that we have right now, there would be a little more thought into messaging and communication strategy. That's the real issue. I think there's a lot of good that goes on, a miscommunication between the general public and the administration. And I blame the media mostly because they will do everything they can to twist and turn. The big drawback to this presidency is that there's no cooperation from Congress as well. And that Trump can do about that. These are people that don't want to work with the America First agenda. They don't want to work with the president. So overall, I wish that line of communication to the American people by the White House.
All right. Next question is, can words be violent? Can words cause harm? Where do you feel the line of freedoms of speech stops?
Words, yes, can cause harm. They can cause violence, of course. I don't know where free speech stops. I think when you start to define where free speech stops, being free speech. Death threats and things like that, okay, you can't say those things. You gotta watch out. Free speech. This is the cornerstone of our democracy. The cornerstone of America is free speech. You don't have free speech where I'm living now. I know people, they post things on Facebook. I don't know them personally, but I've heard stories. They post things on Facebook and they've had knocks on their doors from the police. Why did you say that? Why did you post that? Do you have it? What's going on with that? China. You can't even get on Twitter. You can't even tweet because they're worried about what you may say about the government or the truth about what's going on in China. I spent some time in China. I have a great amount of respect for the Chinese culture. I find it beautiful. But this whole freedom of speech thing that we have in America, you cannot compare that to anywhere. Where does the line get drawn? Down the line somewhere, I think. But if we start to mess with free speech, we give up America.
All right. Next question is: I scrolled through your Twitter feed and saw you tweeting about biofuel as an energy source. Are you in favor of third generation biofuels,
Oh,
i.e.,
I don't know enough
LNG,
about that.
or
I
do
don't
you?
know.
Okay.
Finish the question, but go finish the question.
Yeah, or do you think there are more efficient methods? I mean, even solar or anything. I mean, what's your take on clean energy? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the cleaner we can get the energy, the better. At the expense of convenience, maybe not. I see France is banning cars or something. They're banning non-electric vehicles by 2030. When you
Wow.
get to that point, you got to watch out. You got to watch out. But is energy possible? Sure, absolutely. And solar is great. Solar's, I mean, I don't know how much it works, but I actually live across the street from a bus, like bus terminal bus. It's like a major bus stop, and they have a big solar. It's really beautiful how they do the solar paneling here. So I think the more solar we can go, the more we can the earth of its resources, the better. But we don't want to sacrifice much lifestyle for it, I believe.
All right. Next question: do you think we can ever deal with tax evasion, especially among multinational corporations? And will the current tax bill effectively deal with that?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Do you think we can ever deal with tax evasion, especially among multinational corporations, like say, Apple, and them using, obviously different accounts throughout in different countries with zero taxes? And what's your take on the current tax bill?
Current tax bill that's running through the House is a nice bill. The Senate bill is not so nice. There's a lot of issues with that Senate bill, and we'll see how it gets resolved. I think if we get more of the House bill in the final version, I'll be a lot happier. Can we deal with multinational companies evading taxes? It would be America because we are the largest market for many of these multinationals, but I think they will always outsmart us at the end of the day. They are multinational companies and conglomerates for a reason. I think as much as we can try to do to stop them, they will always find the next loophole. Away with it. That's not saying let them get away with it, but
No,
something to try to stop.
yeah, it really is. All right, next question.
Okay.
Do you believe America will have to switch to clean energy at some point, kind of similar? Will this change require government intervention, or can private companies be trusted with this?
Hopefully, it won't require government intervention. I think if it becomes very necessary down the line, and it's cheaper for companies to do that. I mean, you see a lot of companies switching over to green now, not only because it's better for the environment, but simply because it's very in vogue right now. So, sustainability of the environment, things like that. I'm not 100% versed in it. I don't really know the facts, so I can't speak on it. If I don't know something, I sort of just let you know. Um, but
Oh yeah.
when we get there, we will get there to a point making sure the environment's clean. Are you going to see America ditch its pickup trucks and become a nation of 350 million Priuses? I don't think so.
Right. I hope not. At least not that many Priuses.
No.
All right, next question. Do you think America should actively pursue a treaty that pressurizes all countries to cut down on carbon emissions, unlike the Paris Agreement, which America withdrew from? So, I guess, what's your take on Trump still not doing the Paris Agreement?
I mean, let a lot of countries off the hook. I mean, India got a really beautiful deal out of that Paris Climate Agreement, and it's more of a nominal deal than anything. I mean, you don't really see too much that would be changed from the Paris Climate Agreement. I think we have so many more issues than a Paris Climate Agreement, though. Right now, honestly, I don't see that as the biggest pressing issue. Face you have North Korea, you have terror running rampant. I mean, now it's getting a little better. ISIS is being better controlled. And we're worried about Paris Climate Agreement. I just don't see that as the major issue right now. Get to tackling it, yes, but it's not. I don't think it's so urgent right now. The science is too flaky. The science is too flaky.
All right, next question is: Do you think, with the current state in which America finds itself in, with its strong political division and unstable internal affairs, that there is a chance a rise in other political parties, such as communism or the alt right, etc., could take place?
Ooh, I would love to see a third political and fourth political party rise, but not the alt-right and communism. I would those are not the two that I would choose. Um, I think the two-party system's a disaster at this point. Have You have two parties in name only. You have the Democrats, but you have your Joe Biden Democrats and you have your Bernie Sanders Democrats. That's two parties. I hate to say it. You have the Trump wing and you have the McCain wing parties. So really, we're in a four-party system right now. We just don't realize it, and we just can't admit it yet. System
Yeah.
die out soon? I don't know. I don't know. I hope so. I long for the day where it's less about political parties because there's a lot of issues I would agree with the left on sometimes, socially maybe. And there's a lot of issues that I agree more so with the right on. But
All right.
too much polarization. There's too much polarization. Communism better never rise in America. I'll tell you that much. That's one. I hope not. That'll be the end.
Yeah, there is a lot of separation. Though. You're right. There is pretty much a four-party system. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just not. It's just not called that.
Mhm.
All right. Next question. If you could suggest one person we all should follow on Twitter who isn't you, who would it be and why?
Hmm. Was really interesting is it's funny, I don't as I like I sort of stay in my mentions. Like I really what's her username? Politadiva, real Politadiva. She's on Your Voice America. She's a co-host also in Your Voice America. And she's just so succinct. And Hub Life, that's who. Hub Life. Brendan Dilley, he's an author. Excellent. Excellent stuff because it's lifestyle things as well as politics. Really good. Hub Life. HUBLIFE.
Okay, great. All right. Next question is: what do you think is the most important political issue at the moment?
The moment, at the moment in globally or in America?
Or I'd say maybe let's do both. That's a good question. Let's do both.
I think we have to figure out what's going to happen with healthcare because it's too much in limbo. There, you have Obamacare on its last leg. Current administration trying to put some solution forth, and I wish that the administration would get much more involved in crafting the bill. All Ryan put out for an Obamacare replacement was a disgrace. So there's a lot of options that we could do. That Paul Ryan's bill was a mess. That's, I think, in America critical because you have people, I know personally people that's doubled, tripled, and quadrupled. I know somebody went from paying 200 to 800 a month. They were retired. They had to go back to work to pay health insurance, get their health insurance in their job. It just did a big, big, bad number on healthcare. To say that we should go socialized medicine because that's the other end of the spectrum. That's a total mess. I see it in Europe. It just doesn't work. It's a lot of rationing. Globally, I think we have a big terror problem. You have a lot of problems in the Middle East, caused greatly by the United States and the past administrations intervene all over the Middle East. You have people that don't have anywhere to go, like Syria. You have a lot of refugees and world, and you have a big clash of culture going on. It's a problem that you don't see yet in the US because we accepted many people and we've made sure people assimilated. You see it more in Europe. And diversity, I love. I think diversity is very beautiful. However, you have areas now in London. It's not diversity. They're just refugee ghettos. They don't want to be in London. They want to be home. And they take it out on everybody else. It's just this compatibility going on all around the world. And if we don't figure out what to do about it, it's going to destroy countries. It's going to destroy. I mean, the UK is going to go. The UK is going to be one of the first to fall. It's just not going to be the same UK that you know. It's going to be the same UK you know. And they have to figure out what to do. And they have to stop invading the Middle East. So you stop having flood into Europe. It's just got to stop. It's got to stop.
No, great answers. All right, next question is, what's your opinions on, the movements like NAACP and Black Lives Matters and those type of groups?
Well, they're very right there. NAACP has been around for many years, started on an incredibly great premise, still doing good work. Black Lives Matter sort of got hijacked. It started out, the Black Lives Matter movement started out with a good point. There was a disparity in the treatment as far as police went. But then when they started marching in the streets saying that cops could be dead and should be shot dead, pigs in a blanket, this is not a good movement anymore. As far as that goes, listen to the concerns of everybody. There's valid points being made by both of those organizations that if we completely dismiss and ignore, we're doing a big disservice to great of the American society. African American community has done so much culturally and given so much culturally to America. People don't even realize how much they've given as far as culture. I think it's very important to take into account what they're saying. Black Lives Matter movement right now, as it stands, is not good. I'd love to see the more sensible wing of them break off.
Yeah, I think they've kind of changed from the original.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next question is, do you enjoy debating politics with your friends? And, do you find yourself surrounded by people who have similar views?
No, it's funny. I don't. I do debate politics because people know what I do and they love to hear my opinions, and we talk. But as far as my friends, they don't mostly agree with me. Most of my friends are left wing, but we get along. I get along with everybody because I'm very much. I can completely disagree with you, but at the same time, with you, it's not a problem for me. And I'm sensible. We have a lot of lunatics on both sides, alt left, alt right, and they just won't associate with anybody that doesn't agree with them. I can't be that kind of person. There's too many great people that you'll miss otherwise. And I think it's important that we all. There was a point in time where politics, you just sort of disagreed and moved on and had relationships and had friendships. I don't know when we got to this point where everybody that disagrees with you is your sworn enemy. I think we need to back far away from that.
I agree. Definitely miss out on some great people if you
Absolutely
follow that kind of outlook. All right. Next question is, what is your take, and do you support the Antifa movement? I think we probably could answer that for you, but the question is, do you support the Antifa movement, and do you think violence is justified when fighting against an ideology like fascism?
The Antifa movement is more fascist than any fascist movement you could think of. They're using what's more violent than if I disagree with you, I'm going to beat you into submission? The Antifa movement's a disgrace, and it's look at what they've done. They've created so much division. To me, they're on the same level as a KKK. Honestly.
All right. Next question. Is there a solution to the refugee issue and/or crisis in the EU?
I wish I knew that solution because it needs to hurry up. Look at Italy. You got to see Italy. They moved in migrants in with the old Italian populations in these villages that have houses. Abandoned. There's so many that have all these old abandoned houses because the families, they went to America, they went to the big cities. So you have now nations of Somalian immigrants living in next to 85-year-old Italian couples, and it doesn't work. it would be beautiful. It could work and you can coexist and all that until you try. And it's totally different cultures. So can the problem be solved? Is there a solution? All back home because they don't have homes. I mean, it's not like they came here because their countries were hellholes. They came here because the situation they were in was a mess. So what they're ending up doing, though, is turning these places into a mess. And that's not to say that wherever they go, trouble follows, because that's not how it is. People from a different culture, they have different cultural norms. You know, certain things that they can do in their countries, we are revolted by. So probably, I'm sure we do things that highly offend them, but at the end of the day, they're in our land. So they have to sort of adjust because you came here. When there's a solution, hopefully they implement it. But the one solution is to stop the drain, stop the faucet. And right now, you have enough. Even take care of all the people that are actually from it. You got homeless people on the streets of London. They're British, British born, British raised, and then you have refugees coming and getting housing. It's people, you can't do that.
Yep. All right. Next question is, what is your take on figures like Alex Jones, Milo, Ann Coulter, those type of personalities?
It's an interesting type of personality. Ann Coulter has had very good points. Very not good points. Alex Jones has, he does a lot of conspiracy. I remember he did this story that Trump's Coca-Cola was being drugged by the globalists and Master was feeding him. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that you just hear and it's like, come on, come on. Milo I really like. Milo's very entertaining. But as far as that whole cult of, I think people, when you do things just for shock, and this is for all on every side, right wing, left wing, lose authenticity if it becomes all about shock. And I think there's a fine line between that and never to become a person that only does things to seek more personal attention.
Yep. All right. Do you have an opinion on Scientology? Is the next question.
It's a cult. That much. I don't know much about it, and I don't really want to know much about it. I heard Leah Remini talk about it. She wrote a book, and she was doing all these interviews, and I would stay 100 million miles away from Scientology, me personally.
Yeah. All right. Next question is, should the president be able to authorize military force against Al-Qaeda without congressional approval, in your opinion?
With the kind of Congress that we have, where they don't decide on anything ever, and they would sit there and delay it for a million years, I think that's the only way you could. I think at this point, and even with Obama, this is with all of them. The guy, he's the commander in chief. He should. I know it's against what the Constitution says. They should be able to authorize the force. You shouldn't have to do a whole vote and all that at this point, because we don't have a ability. Used to have bipartisanship. You used to have people willing to work together. At this point, if Trump says go to war, you have 52 senators that are Republicans say yes and 48 Democrats that say no. There would be no fact checking. There would be no thought put into it. It would be, did a Republican say it? Yes. Okay, we rubber stamp it. Did a Democrat say it? No. It's a cult of personality now. It's not about sensible government policy anymore. So at this point, president's just got to say go to war if you want to go to war, and that's it.
Yeah. All right. Next question is, do you think politics should be about the will of the people or the will of the rich, seeing how majority of the American population supports gun control, but the bill wasn't passed due to NRA's involvement?
Well, it should be the will of the people, ideally, but that system has crashed a long time ago when government got completely invaded by interests. I don't know that the majority of Americans support gun control. Gun control, when we say gun control, as long as we mean common sense reform to enforce the law. I think everybody wants that, to make sure we never go into gun ban, gun confiscation, things of that nature. So the problem I have is when people say gun control, and they shut up right away. And they say, shut up, blah, 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 you're not taking my gun. Because nobody wants to take guns. I think anybody who wants to confiscate guns, that's a sick government, because you know where that goes. We've seen how that ends many years ago in Nazi Germany. You take away the power, and the next thing you know, you have some psychopath rising up, and nobody can do anything to stop it.
Which always
the Second Amendment,
that happened to Germany, and now they have strict gun laws.
You know, German people, and I have a couple of German friends, so I almost don't want to say this, but they are so brainwashed at this point. I mean, they have this sense of guilt. And years ago, when none of them were alive, I mean, that's what happened with this refugee thing. So much of the refugee crisis was justification. Merkel and other people justified it basically by saying, look at what we did. World. I mean, come on. Come on, people. With the stuff that I hear come out of the German friends that I have, their mouths, it blows my mind. It's like going on and on about what happened with Hitler. I mean, you weren't around. You're 25 years old. What the hell do you have to do with it? It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me.
All right. Do you support the legalization of marijuana? Is the next question.
I do. I think it should be legalized 100%, and it could be an incredible revenue stream for the country. I mean, you take the debt out. You'd cut that debt, a big chunk out of it, because you tax it. You look at cigarettes and you look at alcohol. Cigarettes are much more deadly than marijuana ever will be. Basically, you smoke poison into your lungs. Marijuana has many medicinal qualities. It has that make you happy and feel good. I mean, I'm not a weed smoker at all, but I'm telling you, a lot of people really have been helped by marijuana. You put it in regulated environments, you tax it just enough that the black market would lose its edge, but that they would still come to you. Revenue stream, and everybody would be happy. Marijuana, and a lot of the problem is they use it, a lot of police forces use it as a way to lock people up years for dealing pot. I mean, you see in Philadelphia, it was Meek Mill, the rapper. I don't know if you're familiar. Years ago, and they have him locked up. I mean, he's still on probation for basically pot violations when he was 19 years old. He's 30 years old now. So
yeah, they came down hard on him, huh?
For no reason. They're letting that man rot in jail. He was 19 years old. He had a couple of a pot violation, honestly, and it was some gun problem. It's crazy. And he's 30 years old. He's changed his life around, and they're hanging him by. Just horrible what they've done to him. So at the end of the day, marijuana being decriminalized would solve a lot of problems, but maybe there's a reason that it's not being not being legalized. I don't know what the reason is.
Even Drake came out in support of him. So.
Drake came out now in support of Meek Mill?
Yeah.
Well, that's how you know he got a real raw deal. If Drake came out and supported
him. Yeah, no, he said free Meek Mill.
Really? Well, well, why not? He ended his career, so.
Yeah, it was like last night he said it. So, all right. Next question is, what is your stance on net neutrality and the vote coming up in December?
Net neutrality. I think we need to keep the net as free as possible. Honest to God, if we start to regulate it, where you have to net neutrality, correct me if I'm wrong, it's where they will charge you on certain sites and high-speed lanes and things like that.
Yeah, that's exactly.
It's just not needed. It's not needed. I think we have a good internet right now. I mean, why would we want to mess up? It only can lead, the more you regulate, and this is what I feel about everything, the more you regulate, they can control you. The more you have other people educated people telling you what to do. And it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. We're founded on freedom. America's based on freedom and liberty. And the more liberty you can keep, the better. That's my take on it.
Yeah. All right. Next question is, should health insurers be allowed to deny coverage to individuals who have pre-existing conditions?
You don't want to denied coverage. You don't. You want to make sure you can get as many people covered as possible. It may be difficult.
Yeah. All right.
Do it in a way. You have to do it in a way that makes sure they can get access to health insurance. Some people don't want health insurance, by the way, if you can believe it. If you can even believe it, some people would rather pay and go to urgent care when they need it. I know people, they have this individual mandate. They never go. They never go to the doctor. I know people haven't been to the doctor in 5-6 years. Even if they're sick, they'd rather do alternative medication. A lot of people want health insurance. You wouldn't believe it.
All right. So, behind Donald Trump? Who is your favorite president? It was a different question, but I'll just sum it up kind of like that.
Behind Trump, who's my favorite president? And you have to get back to me in 3 years if Trump is really going to be my favorite president.
Well, I didn't want you to list him.
Yeah, no. I would say who's done the most for the country and brought it back was Reagan. He brought it back from a pretty interesting place that it was in. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, which set the course of history position that it was. So, which is, I mean, you only have 44 choices, so everybody sort of gives those.
All right, next question is, do the average... Okay, you mentioned that the average I was just reading this question to word it. It worded it. You mentioned the average person knows less than the government. You mentioned. Do you believe that?
Did I say that the average person knows less than the government?
I think maybe what some of people are aware of that's going.
Well, I'm sure the government is the best intelligence around, but I don't. Maybe that was misconstrued how I said that, because sheer intelligence, sure. I mean, I don't have the FBI and CIA sitting at my disposal. So as far as sheer ability to know things, sure, the government knows. And will they let us know what they know? Hell no. They don't want us to know what they know. But no, I don't believe common sense with the information the government has. If you gave the average person access to the kind of resources the government has, up with it.
Yeah. All right. Next question is, what's your take on gay rights, transgender rights, LGBTQ, and whatever other letters they've added on since we've started the AMA?
Yes.
What's your take on all that?
Well, this is where I differ from a lot of people on the right. I say whatever, as long as you don't hurt anybody, whatever. I don't really care what you do. Gay marriage is now legal, which I thought was a good step. I mean, come on. If you don't let it happen, they're just going to complain. So let it be. Let it be. I mean, they're not hurting anybody by becoming married. As far as transgender rights, I mean, sure, they're people, but when we start having where you can have the parents put on the birth certificate non-gender, when they obviously came out with, one equipment or another, that's where we start to get crazy. So there's two genders, and at the end of that story, you have transgender, you have whatever. But as far as LGBT, what they do, I don't care what they do. It's don't hurt me, I don't hurt you. Just live your life.
For sure. All right. Next question. Should we begin a government-wide investigation into the conduct of certain senators and representatives against women? Or maybe what should, bring that?
Oh, we should have it at any time. I mean, you have that slush fund we have. We have a whole taxpayer-funded slush fund that we didn't even know about, that's covering the settlements of people that had said the sexual abuse went on in the Senate and Congress. I want to know all those names. I think we have the right to know all those names because we're the ones paying for it. Men and women in power, because not only men, There's men and women in power, people in power, to get what they want. It's not nice, but that's what happens. And it's going to be hard to combat it. It's going to be hard to combat it because this is human nature.
Yeah, I mean, the slush fund is something, in my opinion, that just got. I mean, the fact that Obama's Justice Department was trying to move funds. I mean, that is such a huge topic that I think went under the radar. It's not even fun. I mean, nobody talked about it.
Nobody is talking about it. This is why I say the citizen journalism will win in the end. Come on. You'd never hear about that on a CNN or somewhere else. They don't talk about it.
Yeah, and I mean, in my opinion, it's one of the biggest. I mean,
it's major.
Yeah, of the last decade.
This should be, 5-alarm fire news story, wall-to-wall coverage. You don't even hear about it.
All right. Yeah, that was a great example. Next question is, how can our government deal with the massive shortage of Air Force pilots, especially with the potential for a war with North Korea? So recently, Trump brought back about 1,000 pilots who were already retired and to fly again. And, I mean, what's your take on that? And I guess, Trump's stance on the military, bringing those people back, growing the military, and so on and so forth.
Well, I would never want to see a draft. I'll tell you that much, because you have people that don't want to fight. And I think these Air Force pilots, we have a lot of people. Maybe you should ease up on some of the regulations as far as becoming an Air Force, but I don't know. I don't know the solution to that. It's very interesting.
Are you for military expansion?
Yeah, I think we should have the strongest military we can possibly have. But we need to use it sparingly. We don't need troops everywhere. And you see all these people, these Green Berets all over Africa, Nigeria, Niger, it's like, what the hell are they doing over there? All this stuff. And maybe it's to combat Boko Haram or whatever. It's our military that we have on making sure we don't need to run it thin all over the world. If we have Air Force fighting pilots over in Niger, maybe we can use some of them. We have too many people all over the world fighting and being stationed for no real reason. We should not police of the world. It's important to have a hold on the world if you're America, but to the point where we're fighting everybody else's battles for them, I don't think so.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Is a war with China and Russia plausible for the West?
Oof. Oh, God. I don't think
it'd be ugly.
I don't think that would end well for anybody. I mean, because the next war, this is what people maybe don't understand. The next war is not going to be a war. It's going to be, I nuke you, you nuke me, and that's going to be about the end. 5 or 6 or 7 nukes of the magnitudes that are going on now, it's not going to be much more left to fight. War, it's going to be a nice, quick nuclear war, and that's going to be basically the end of it. It's going to be the end of it.
To kind of segue to that, next question was, will Trump's cozy ties / stance to Russia ever become a liability, do you think?
I don't really think an issue. I really don't. I mean, you have all this talk, and they've been investigating it for a long time now, and they're not really finding much about it. It's not finding much about it. I hope I'm vindicated in that thought that the Russia thing is just a lot of smoke and really no fire.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a big issue. And I think here's the big issue is going to be for the left, that once they sort of prove that there was no collusion, resist Trump movement, it's sort of going to lose its biggest leg.
All right. Next question is, it seems that the Middle East has been more or less a failure with American intervention and involvement. Given this, should we refocus our involvement into Latin America instead of the Middle East? Since LA immigration and politics affects us more, Latin American immigration and politics affects us more since they are our neighbors.
That's a very interesting little topic there. I never thought of that. I don't think we need to involve ourselves in other countries' politics, to be honest. I don't think we need to involve ourselves too deeply. Should we have an idea of what's going on? Yes, but we don't need to sit there and invade places and things like that. Should we focus more on Latin America than the Middle East? Hmm. About that for some time.
What's your take on the Middle East? I mean, do you like us being in Afghanistan?
We sort of have to be at this point. I mean, should we get out? Yeah, I'd love to see us get out in an ideal world. But at the end of the day, how long can this happen? How long can we? Forever. But we can't. We have to watch out or we back out. Look, when we backed out, look what happened in ISIS form. ISIS. We can't have something else going on like this.
Totally. Last question is, I mean, what's your thoughts on the use of torture, which Donald Trump has been known to support? I mean, what is your take on that, and do you agree with him?
I maybe not a popular opinion. I sort of do agree with the torture stuff. I think sometimes you need to torture. Sometimes, I mean, you're talking about terrorists.
Yeah.
American citizens. We're talking about terrorists, and the do what these terrorists do. I think you need to get I mean, look, what really disgusted me was, remember the guy in New York just a couple weeks ago? He ran the car through people. They put him in the hospital to interrogate him. They did surgery. They say, what are you doing surgery on this guy for? What are you saving this guy for? You get whatever information you need to get out of him, then you throw him out of the hospital and whatever. Put him in jail. Don't feed him and pay for him for the rest of your life. I completely agree that whatever means necessary to get what they need out of these terrorist people, get, and then handle them the appropriate way. And to me, the appropriate way is only.
Yeah. All right. Next question is, what is your take on having a photo ID be required in all states to vote?
I think you need a photo ID to vote. I mean, you need a photo ID to vote. There's no. I don't understand the whole concept of I can just walk in and vote without a photo ID. That's ridiculous to me. You need a photo ID to do just about everything else. I mean, they ask you for ID. Hospital, they ask you for ID. They ask you for ID just about anything you do. That's the most critical thing you're going to do.
Yeah. It's really wild how many states don't require it.
I went to vote in 2016. They didn't ask me anything. I said who I was. They said sign here. Okay.
Yeah, that's where they did for me too.
And
like, oh, fuck it. Actually, I'm gonna be that guy today.
My father, somebody had already voted for him in the primary.
Really?
Somebody had signed his name. So, I mean, they just said, okay, sign your name on somebody else's. It's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, well, that's what they do.
The next president or anything. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's. Should illegal immigrants have access to government subsidized healthcare?
Should illegal immigrants have
access to government subsidized healthcare?
No.
Yeah.
No. If they're not, I mean, no. There's no. I don't even need to go into that one. Absolutely not.
And all right. Well, actually, that is all the questions. Thank you so much for coming. Now, we usually do have an open discussion in the lower channel. I know it's late for you, so I don't expect you to stay around. But other,
I'll have a little. We can discuss. That's fine.
Okay, great. So if you want to stay here, I'm gonna you'll get dropped down to the other channel, and then other users can get involved and talk to you.
Okay.
So I'll drag you down there, and then you'll hear everybody start talking.